Welcome to Rainbow Six Esports for Oceania in 2021. We're proud to share with you the timeline for our 2021 season and the format of our Oceanic leagues throughout the year. Through a sustainable approach to the region, we now have two clearly defined tiers and a proper flow through from our newly created Oceanic Challenger League to our returning Oceanic Nationals. Both leagues will meet for 3 stages in the year-long season, with participating teams accumulating points based on results from each stage. So how exactly will each stage be played out? We have 8 teams per league, playing single round robin best of ones with overtime. A regular win is rewarded with 3 points, while a loss gives 0. When the 2 teams fight up into overtime, the winner gets 2 points while the loser gets 1. At the end of each stage, the top 5 teams will qualify into our new Gauntlet format playoffs, while the remainder of the teams will have their placements and points locked in. Playoffs for both OCN and OCL will be best of 3s, with best of 5 grand finals. At the conclusion of each stage, teams will be allocated points based on their final standings. For OCN teams, the conclusion of Stage 3 will show us which teams have earned enough points to enter a promotion relegation tournament and fight for a chance to enter the Asia Pacific Regional League, whereas OCL teams that accumulated enough points will have their promotion opportunity into the Nationals, OCN. For both OCN and OCL, the top teams from each league will compete in seasonal finals to be held on LAN, where we will crown a champion in each league. This will be a great opportunity to celebrate Rainbow Six Esports in Oceania and come together as a community. We will have more information on these events later this year. Ubisoft's commitment to the growth and sustainability of esports in the Oceanic region is higher than ever, with 2 exciting leagues of 8 teams, broadcasting over 9 months of the year, and direct pathways through to the coveted APAC League and ultimately the 6th Invitational. Opportunities are abundant for players in Oceania. You won't want to miss this exhilarating year of R6 Esports, so follow us at R6 Esports OCE to stay up to date with our season, support your favorite teams, and catch exciting content from the best players in Oceania.
I'm running out of time. I'm running on a feeling so. I'm running out of time. I'm running out of time. Feeling so. I'm running out of time. I'm so empty, so empty.
would come. Shaggy's got a one. He's gonna push deep, but somebody back in the other. So challenging. There is one up the stairs, though. This could be huge. Manages to find them.
It's the end of the weekend, but only the start for Oceanic Nationals. We're back and ready to get into all of the action. And by we, it's Manic and, of course, the beloved Dev Mata. Dev, we had a banging Playday 2 with some pretty big upsets.
Oh, hell yeah, we did. Oceanic Nationals has certainly kicked off to be really competitive. We're seeing massive shakeups in the top end, with even our best teams getting mightily challenged and our newest team potentially even taking that #1 spot. So it's certainly been exciting, Rob.
Rafflecopter honestly has looked so good. So good, in fact, that we need to have a look at the standings to see exactly where they are. Let's bring it up and discuss how things have kick-started in the first week of OCN. Baby, they on top. My goodness, how unbelievable is that? Not only is that wicked, but also, Dev, there is no team on 6 points, which means that no matter how many times they won last week, everyone had to have won an OT game to be at the top end. That's insane.
That's it. The way that it works is obviously overtime losses, you only get 1 point. Overtime wins, you get 2 points. If you win without OT, you get the full 3. And like you say, no team has actually managed to win both of their games without heading to OT. You've got Roffle and Elevate, who've won one game with OT, one without. And so they're sitting on 5 points. And I think if you're coming in here as maybe an OS fan from 2020 and you're like, well, what is this standings? Knights in second at the bottom, Wildcard in 5th. Order, formerly Okami, they're the other team you'd expect to be on the top. They're only sitting in third, so it is really just a shake-up compared to the expectations that we had going in, Rob.
They've all been shattered, and that's the best thing about this, is everything that we expected coming into this new season of OCN, we've thrown that out the window. The first 2 play days have just been absolutely insane, and I think you made a really good point with Rafflecopter, just, you know, like the newest team to come in have absolutely blitzed their way through. I mean, you look at a team like Rhythm, who granted had their issues last season, even they're not doing too bad, so it's a complete shake-up from top to bottom.
Yeah, and that makes it super exciting to watch. We get to every game when we're like, oh, this could be a really close one. We are not pulling your leg. We're not just trying to make things artificially exciting. We've seen Knights lose to Rafflecopter last week. We've seen other massive upsets. So anything is possible. And with half of these teams also playing in the parallel APAC South League at the same time, we get to see so many games out of these guys, which is even better. And it means that they keep switching which hats they're wearing. APAC South to OCN. And today it very much is OCN, and I'm really keen for it.
That's it. 4 of these teams, in fact, are playing 3 games a week. But you said that we could expect some close matches, and when we tell you, we will tell you. We have a look at the schedule for today, the lineups that we will be expecting. Now, James, Knights and LFO, I do think that has the potential to be a banger. I've always been on the LFO train, but I really think it's the Rafflecopter and Elevate match today for me.
That's completely what I was thinking as well. You look at Rafflecopter, they've taken down the Knights, who were hands down the favorites this season with, of course, wildcard situation, losing Diesel, they're no longer the favorite. So Rafflecopter have already taken down what we perceive to be the #1 team in the Knights. And in terms of the other, big names that they've got to grab the dog tags off and walk away victorious, it's going to be Elevate and Order, which are the 2 other ones in their sights. So if Rafflecopter can take down Elevate today, honestly, I am ready to put Raffle as my #1 team for the whole season. Even this early, even 3 games in, even though they came through open qualifiers, I have that much confidence in them if they can pull it off against Elevate.
And also not discrediting Bliss or Rhythm, they haven't had the worst starts to the season, if I'm being completely honest. They have actually been neck and neck with some of the better teams. Rhythm obviously taking a map off of Order last week, and Bliss, Bliss beat LFO, okay? That's a good start for them, but it was the game against Elevate last week where they performed quite well. So those last 2 games still have a lot in them, still have a lot of wind to blow around. So let's have a look at the predictions. Let's dive into what we, the analysts, I hate using the word analysts, and experts is an even worse word for it, but this is what we're thinking. I generally see quite a consensus across here. You've gone with Rafflecopter there. Would you like to tell me how this has happened?
I just can't believe I'm the only one who said Rafflecopter and Rhythm. I thought that more people would have been in that camp. For Rafflecopter, like I said, they already took down the Knights. Elevate, like you had already alluded to, had a really close game last week where they almost lost to Bliss. And honestly, I don't rate Bliss in the top 4. So if Elevate struggles to beat them, I think they're going to be really challenged by Raffle. So I'm pretty confident in that pick. And then later on in the day, that wildcard Rhythm game, people still have quite a lot of confidence in wildcard. And honestly, if they play like they have been playing in OCN and APAC South so far, I have absolutely no doubts that Rhythm will take that game.
Look, at second glances, maybe I probably would put LFO over Knight, Rafflecopter over Elevate, and of course Rhythm over Wildcard, just to throw spanners in the works. The one that we're all agreed upon is that Order matchup as well.
Yeah.
The one thing I actually want to mention on that is I think that has the potential to go to overtime. I think Bliss are going to come into this kind of under the radar a little bit. Obviously, they were in relegations at the end of last year, and they managed to fight their way back into the league. I think they've got something in there that might just turn them upside down. But I don't know, man. That's just my thoughts.
Yeah. I can see that happening. Look, Blitz, like you said, they came through relegations. They're actually the top team through relegations as well, so they had a strong performance through that. And yes, they beat LFO already, and they had a close game against Elevate, and they're going against Order, who did lose to Rhythm last week as well. So there's definitely a lot of possibility here for Blitz, but we'll just have to wait and see, I guess.
We certainly will. Let's start to hone in on the first matchup of the day. It's Knights and LFO. A game that I think... Well, I don't want to say has legs to it, because if Knights come in with their APAC South form, it could be all said and done in 7 rounds.
That's completely true. Like, if you look at the grander scheme of things for Knights, these guys have been in absolute hot form in APAC South. They 7-2'd Q-Confirm, and Dino said he wasn't even happy with that. You know, he reckons they could have taken him 7-1. And they also beat Elevate already in that. Now, they did lose to Elevate following that in the OCN and lose to Ruffle. So these guys haven't even won a game yet. They've only got the 1 point in OCN so far. They did have a nice pickup over the weekend. They've picked up a new analyst, Sketchy, who was previously of Meloncat, that old Noble roster, which is really exciting. I've heard so many people say great things about him, and while he isn't on this roster graphic, because of course Picnic is the coach, Sketchy, the analyst, doesn't get as much screen time, we'll definitely see the influence of him coming into this game, whether it's counter-stratting, counter-banning for LFO, or just other kinds of analytical facets that Knights will have going for them.
You mentioned their name, LFO. That's who they're coming up against. A roster that last year had some pretty good performances, specifically in the playoffs. They managed to, not only did they manage to knock out Elevate, but they also had 2 incredibly close series with both Knights and, well, the former Okami, which are now Order. The 2 changes that have really started to shake this roster up, Sushi and Jigsaw now in for Angmo and Mims. Of course, we've already seen them on 2 play days prior. How are you feeling their form is coming into this?
Look, I'm pretty split on LFO. Like you say, they had a really great OCN playoffs at the late last year. They almost beat Order. In fact, they were 1 round away from beating Order at the time Okami, which would have put them in 3rd place in the whole season, which is just absolutely insane to think. And yeah, they did take down the old Elevate. But yeah, this roster I think still needs to prove themselves with the revamp changes. Sushi and Jigsaw haven't had amazing impact. I'm still looking at players like Hills and seeing them as kind of the big hitters. But hey, I'm totally open to LFO really steaming it up here. They haven't done so crash hot as so far yet. They didn't beat Wildcard last week, and I think LFO definitely could have beaten Wildcard. It was a 5-7. But Wildcard in their current state is definitely a vulnerable target, a wounded beast. So LFO were probably quite disappointed they didn't manage that, but they can still take a fight here to Knights. We'll see whether the real Knights turns up.
As you say, can they hold a candle to them? I think that's your new favorite quote, and I'm going to start using it a lot more. I do quite enjoy that. So let's have a look at the map. Let's have a look at the veto process. We're going to Cafe. Honest to God, I have not seen a lot of Cafe. I'm pretty sure it was played on Monday night, but I'm very keen to get into this one. What are your thoughts heading into this? Where is it lying in terms of favors here?
Well, firstly, I will say that this is going to be a great exercise effort for Sketchy, the new analyst for Knights, because LFO played this last week against Wildcard. They did lose it, so there's a great shot here for Knights to look at that very recent VOD. And in contrast, it's been a little while since Knights has played Cafe. They did play it in the Wrecked Omen Gauntlet a while back, but aside from that, you have to stretch cast your mind all the way back to OCN 2020, back in September, and these 2 teams played each other on Cafe, and Knights took it 7-1. For LFO's sake, I hope that they are ready for this.
That's the issue, isn't it? I feel like this more lies on the back of LFO. They continue to have these incredibly close matchups, 7-4, 7-5 kind of scorelines, and they have realistically ever since they came into the league back in Six Masters last year. I feel like a lot of this lies on LFO. A lot of teams are always saying about how they're not so prepared for LFO and their play style. I don't know if that still holds true. It's one question I'd love to ask Dino when we come into the interviews, if Dino is to win, of course. This is all just kind of skipping ahead well after the match. But I'd love to get to know a little bit more about LFO this season, because 2 5-7 defeats, it's not the start they would have been hoping for whatsoever, and I think that Cafe may bow favorably to them here. I don't know, man. I'm kind of just, I'm throwing out into the wind here and hoping for the best.
For LFO's sake, I will say they've played it more frequently. It has been a favorite of theirs in the past, but mixed results, right? They beat Elevate on it in last season of Oceanic Nationals, which is a pretty big deal, right? Elevate overall during the regular season did pretty well. So that's good on LFO. You look further back, that 1-7 to Knights, that big loss in last stage, is the main thing I'm concerned about for LFO. But just to to bring it back, I just remembered Hills actually used to play for Knights, and he's on the LFO roster now. He's been on it for just over a year. So this is actually a game of former teammates going against each other as well. Hayward, Hills, and Dino definitely played together for some time. So that's quite exciting to me. A little bit of an old rivalry there.
I love rivalries, especially when they run so deep. I just saw in the ticker about some very handsome people. I definitely thought that was for the teams, but apparently the ticker is continuing to run through. Is it Cookie? I believe it's Cookie out the back. I mean, that's
It's gotta be.
You're a legend. You're a good. Yeah, it is 100%. We just got confirmation through the headset. Love you, Cookie. You're a good bloke. But I am interested to see LFO at this match, in this matchup, I should say. They realistically, for me, have always been the team similar to Order, I would say, but a little bit further down the spectrum of, the bridesmaid of the region. It always has felt like they've been kind of biting away at the heels of some of these better teams. Tonight is a great opportunity to kickstart their OCN campaign, but also on the flip side, Knights still haven't won a game. We are in Playday 3. I mean, look, we all knew they were coming into this kind of more focused and more prepared for APAC South, but is that an excuse?
I feel like it can't be. It was nice themselves when they were talking about the Rect Omen Gauntlet a little while back, that $5,000 tournament. It was them themselves that said they got to take everything seriously, even though this isn't part of the OCN circuit or the APAC South. They wanted to try hard in that, and they did. They won the whole thing. And this is a big chance now, I think, for Knights to prove that they're in it to win it.
They have to show up today. They cannot allow this game to slip away as they have in the previous 2 Playdays. It's Knights and LFO going head-to-head on Cafe. Let's get into it.
Both of these teams yet to find a win in OCN 2021. We'll see. That's going to change tonight for one of these teams, but not both. LFO yet to even find a point so far. Diving into it, I like that Capital ban from LFO. It's something that we've seen Knights play quite often. I think it's often Juicy who jumps on. No, sorry. Can't remember. I think it switches around. I think Juicy plays it a bit of the time when he's not on the Maverick. So that's a really nice one. And Capital is so powerful on this map, specifically on Cafe. You can clear out a lot of those strong positions like Pixel, for example, with that Capital, especially if that Wamai gets banned. He gets free reign. So just get rid of that. You're going to have to see nades used instead. And the Thatcher ban also very stable, enables that Walden, Arcade, Mute, etc. And also those Jaeger devices, the ADSs and the Wamais, a bit more safe as well. With the mirror gone down, it means that you're definitely going to see those kind of power positions contested, because you can't just hide behind a mirror window. You've got to defend it using the shields. So we'll see if it pans out. I think it's good overall. It's going to be pretty easy to clear those positions, but overall pretty mixed.
Alrighty. Now that we've got the stage set, bans are done, we're heading into round number 1. And I do look to Knights in their attacking prowess. They've been looking so hot in APAC South. I know I've said it probably twice already, but I just want to bat this home. This roster is the best in Oceania right now, and they just are not turning up in OCN. And this is where the question marks start to begin. They have to take down LFO here. They cannot allow their reign to continue to be contested like this. No place better than Cafe.
I would take it even one step further. I would take it even one step further for Knights and say they can't drop this game to LFO, but they can't even drop a single point here to LFO. Yes. Knights were saying that 7-2 was only acceptable against Q Confirm, one of the best teams from Thailand and from Southeast Asia as a whole. Knights really should be 7-1ing, 7-2ing LFO here, if not even better.
Yeah. No, I definitely agree with that. I think that it's a valid point to be making. There always comes a time when we're having these conversations, and sooner or later we have to keep these teams accountable. Now, looking at the community vote, 80% toward Knights. I think that's fair. The Snap Fitness community vote, of course. Make sure, if you do wish to, ladies and gents, you can go ahead and join in that community vote. Head over to @R6 Esports OCE or /and @Snap Fitness AU on Twitter to cast your vote and to be a part of this conversation. it's one that is fairly valid, and an 80% win rate to Knights, I'd feel pretty confident with that.
Time for them to prove it, though. Nice setup with the shields from LFO. The Vulcans of Goyo, one at Pixel and one inside the washrooms. A very classic strategy that actually originated in ANZ from our good friends Order. ADSs to protect some magnets from Wamai as well, all spread out. Just look at all the spaghetti in the hallway as well. It's really on Knights now to use their flashbangs and other projectiles and throwables to clear out all this. So you can see there's 3 ADSs all stacked up around a couple of magnets as well. So they need to make sure they drone all that out. They got, what, 6 flashes to push through and then a whole bunch of explosives. They're just going to dump all that in there and clear out these power positions.
Definitely time of the essence. They've already spent about a minute 40. And Dino, well, that's some good information being gained early on. But of course now, as far as I'm aware, that is gone for some time. Minute 30 left, Dev. Are they managing their time well enough? That's the question.
It looks like Knights are actually bypassing this piano setup. Instead going for what looks to be a skylight drop. And Sage, he goes straight on in there.
Wow, Sage leading the charge there. Hayward playing off the back of it. LFO are not prepared whatsoever. Diffuser being stuck at bars. My goodness, get torn limb from limb, LFO. 2 players completely off-site. Hills and Jigsaw to retake.
And Hills shut down. This could well be a flawless round on the cards for Knights. Jigsaw, the newest member of this team, does disrupt that. Takes down the IGL of Knights. Sage on the floor, but it's an easy cleanup for Dino, and the Knights cop an incredibly dominant initial round in this match.
That's the statement that we need from Knights, and they have to continue this now. They're just going to need to work on the back of this, continue to chip away, because that is what you love to see from the region's best. A big, big start. And sometimes you just need to send it. Since it was obviously off the back of some incredible information. Push the Gemini in. Notice that there's literally only 1 player that they need to contest over on Cocktail. And the second they make that move, they make that initial step, it's all but done and dusted. Of course, kills need to be confirmed. That's one thing you will never question from the Knights. Great work bypassing piano, though. Absolutely love that.
It goes to show, as a defensive squad, you can't just tunnel vision on defending a position like piano, an entire room. You have to make sure that from the positions you are holding, you can still have an impact on a site rush or what have you. And for Knights, I think it was a couple of things. We saw early on, yes, using that Gemini to get the info on bar, see where those players are, but they also took down the single Banshee underneath the skylight, cleared that out, and then a simultaneous multiple people dropping skylight while Hayward hot breached on the northeast window, the cocktail balcony window, and just having all these things going on at once. With over a minute left on the round, really a lovely little pocket strat from Knights.
There's always a lot more that goes into it, isn't there, Dev? When you got a 5-head like you, it's easy to pick out, so we love it. Early days here, though, and I do back LFO being able to rebound fairly quickly here. One thing for sure, though, if they start to gain momentum, and confidence, they will seriously contest Knights. But now, let's just kick back, relax. As that Gemini going in nice and early, and Hills drone and a Gemini, that's fine. Well, very, very little information for Dino in that instance, so that's all right.
Good of LFO to shut it down, but we've seen how impactful those Geminis can be. And speaking of impact, there's Sage onto Hills. Nice easy pick from the rappel and immediately off and safe again. LFO once again on the back foot.
Making things even worse here. Hayward, oh, the vertical line just not far enough. Sushi steps into it. My word, LFO scrambling here to try and find something, try to even these odds out. Whether they go quick, they go slow, methodical, it doesn't make a difference. They are looking really strong here. And the start we had hoped for.
Nasty.
Oh, nasty.
He's got to make sure he lands that shot, and he does. This was a 5v2, now a 2v2. Sogs is down, though. Hayward confirms that kill, and now it's just him and Sage to lock out, but they don't have the diffuser.
Really like this from Nasty rotating around. It is certainly a tall order in a 1v2, regardless of who you're up against. Hayward and Sage, though, they have been pretty darn good for Knights ever since this roster really came to be. Nasty can hold that crossfire. It'll be the free kill. Oh, no! That's not what you like to see. Sprays coming through the wall. There's nothing Nasty can do about it right now. Dev, this looks all done and dusted for the books.
The plant hasn't gone down as of yet. Hayward takes it to a safer spot, wants to plant Cocktail instead. Sage has got to cover him. Nasty shot that drone, but still his position is covered. Volts on into Bar, and crossing just narrowly misses the angle from Sage, but he was spotted. Nasty looking to make this 1v2 or 1v1, but he's already low HP. Caught in the crossfire, needs to land this headshot, but Hayward shuts him down. The Knights gave us a scare for just a moment, but they do confirm their second attack.
Great way of putting it. Sogs and Nasty putting in some work there for the LFO roster to even make that possible. You know, a 1v2, it's not out of the question whatsoever, but a 2v5, that really slipped away for the Knights. And it's not something that we're used to seeing as much, needing to tidy this up. At the very least, though, promising signs. They do back up their first round with an even more impressive one, I would have to say, until that 2v5 fell apart. So really, really great signs from the Knights roster.
This is why I love watching the Knights. They're so in sync. They look so perfect, and they're just so good at exploiting their enemies' weaknesses. In that round, I don't think Knights even really got to get to the point where they do their kind of normal take. I think that in that round, instead of going for that skylight drop, they wanted to go for a cocktail repel, so an east side take. With a lot of players downstairs, they bring the buck, which is super versatile. You can get that vertical play going from inside reading up into the cocktail position. We did see a kill come out from some holes, but it was the Ash of Hayward to nail that one down. I love that versatility, and Nice just found so many opening picks that they converted into something else. But like you say, valiant effort from Nasty and Sogs. Nasty in particular, a big flank from Piano. Knights have got to make sure that they can punish things like that. If they want to be the best in OCN, they can't let things like that, let plays like that slide. They have to shut them down.
Certainly so. At least we're seeing the full capability of Knights in OCN so far. And down to the kitchen defense. They're not going to try for a third time, LFO.
Dino's in.
Wow, okay. I thought that was the Gemini. It's definitely not. That is actually Dino right now. That could be the opening kill, but at the very least, he has control of VIP here, James.
Good info, though, now for LFO. They know there's a player deep in VIP. Strat here is a heavy roam for LFO, and it looks like Knights are once again trying to bypass the defense rather than fighting it head on. But Dino's so patient. He's in so early, and he can just hold this very passive angle. A smart move from Hills. He gets back onto the bomb site through the hatch that they had opened inside Fireplace. And LFO have a bit stronger presence on site should this be a rush.
How far forward Hayward is as well. Just needs to be cautious. If Dino had the info, Hills have the info there. That could be a very easy kill. What's going on there? That's not what you like to see from Hayward. Just around the corner. Is he going to be able to save him in time? Okay, that fair enough. If in doubt, just safe it out. The C4 will find the kill, but a 5v4 nevertheless.
Bit of a messy attack now from Knights. They're trying to just prod a lot of different directions at once to see what kind of a weakness they can expose from LFO. But the problem is once you lose these opening picks, it all falls to pieces. Now Josh is down as well. Dino needs to make this 1v1 work out, but there's multiple players nearby. He could well catch LFO off, but all the defenders need to do is wait.
Love this line from Jigsaw. Can't connect the shots onto Dino. They both walk away scot-free. Sage obviously trying to go to work on that verticality, and when he does, it'll allow Dino to push in a little bit further. You can see there, now control Laundry. It will allow Dino to progress a little bit further up. He has to hit 2 gnarly shots. Instead, he hits 1 and makes it more possible for Juicy and Sage. This vertical line, so dangerous for Sage to contest here.
He's got to step up, though. His Knights players all separate, and Juicy finds another 2v2 all of a sudden. Jigsaw comes back to the objective, 25 seconds left. A very difficult task now for the Knights.
They don't have any openings either. That flashbang's going to be huge. It'll allow them to get in if they decide to push, but that crossfire is too good. Jigsaw steps up. My word. Not only does he step up, he stands up. A 2K to finish it off. Much nicer from LFO after picking up the first kill.
Nice for them to finally get around on the board. It took 3 times, but they did finally start to counter the way Knights was playing. Knights always sneaking around looking for some kind of opening, and LFO just being a lot more cautious, a lot more patient, making sure they're not being punished by that early and kind of strange aggression from Knights. It's not like Knights were really kind of planning a push as of yet. They had a couple of people in different positions to see if they could find that initial pick. When that didn't go their way, once LFO found 2, it was really almost impossible for Knights. They did bring it back, but like you said, a great job from Jigsaw in particular for that final spray down and locking it out for LFO. A lot of work to be done now for the defense as they move on to reading. Not tempted to go back to bar as of yet.
I don't blame them, honestly. If I was clapped that hard in the first 2 rounds, I'd be very hesitant to head back there. With this, however, it will, of course, allow Knights to predict, should LFO win this, where they're headed. And just on that, great round from LFO. So that's the momentum I was speaking about. We have to see them execute off the back of it now. We obviously, you know, it's all good and well to have a round like that, but you need to capitalize. And this is one of those teams, one of these rosters that I firmly believe will push your limits and test you. A huge presence on top floor for now.
Yeah, typically this bomb site is all about that top floor control, holding on as long as possible, making sure that the attack can't utilize that soft roof above the objective and engage that vertical play, flush out those key positions on the site. Knights, to show that they do like to go for that vertical play, they brought the buck, so many options for vertical play here. And it does look like it's going to be a top-down take. Juicy just using 2 pellets at a time to breach these hatches. This is where the info gathering begins.
Just like that. Done and dusted in a couple of seconds. Haywood, though, nearly finding the kill on the top of Garage. That could have been a big one. And it slips away from the Knights. Nasty's low, but regardless, the man count's still there. And so far, I do enjoy how early Knights are looking to make that contact, looking to make LFO slightly uncomfortable. They've pushed past Piano now as they continue to extend their grab.
Oh, there's the first pick. Haywood takes down, gets some revenge against Hills, who found him in the last round. And look at this, very sneaky position from Dino and Josh, getting really aggressive on the top floor, but they got to duel this Malusi. And Josh gets 1. There's still another player all the way up there, but LFO completely falling apart here. A 5v1, Nasty on for the flank. Surely this has been read. Surely there was a drone. And surely this is a Knights flawless round.
You'd have to imagine so. Nasty would need to hit some pretty insane shots to get out of that one. Whatever LFO are attempting, it feels like Knights have them read. Their number being picked more often than not now. And just to bat on, of course, it is so vitally important that Knights show this kind of dominance so early on. And they are going to be re-attempting Reading and Fireplace. So LFO, I have no problems with this whatsoever. Usually, I mean, I would say most times we see teams move on pretty quickly from a site, win or lose. Well, clearly if you win, you're moving on. You don't really have a choice in that one, but I do enjoy the fact that LFO may have picked out what's gone wrong here. And they're going to double down. No issues with that whatsoever.
I respect that from LFO. It didn't quite work with Bar previously, but moving on to Kitchen Cooking was clearly the right decision at the time. That's still locked at the moment. So from LFO's perspective, it's do we go reading again? Do we go back to Bar, which we lost twice? Or do we try mining? And look, these guys might not even have a mining strat. It's the least played bomb site. You don't really have to have a mining strat to play this map. But LFO have at least changed something. Sog 6-picked onto the Legion instead of that 1Y, and I think it's a smart move. You put those goo traps out and about, you're going to get a little bit more info on Knights because they'll be crouch walking up these hallways as we constantly see Knights doing. They like to enter sometimes a bit separate, and those goo mines are great for that. If anything, it's just a little bit of info because at the very least, they've got to shoot or knife that goo mine before they can walk through. So, oh, and here's a great one, actually. A goo mine. Yeah, I love this kind of nerdy stuff. A goo mine on the windowsill can't be pulled out. So if you rappel on that window, you're going to get that goo mine stuck in you, and you have to rappel all the way off the window to pull it out.
Yeah, you're not wrong. That was nerdy. So I love it. So with that now, Knights have realistically, I think, found pretty much every opening bar one here, which was on that defensive win round in Kitchen, where things fell apart pretty quickly, I will say, for Knights. Somehow they managed to claw that back.
And to talk about opening kills for a minute, every single round, the opening kill has been converted into a round win as well. So definitely going to be looking at these opening engagements. Hills may well be on the front line of them. And it could well set the pace for the whole round. That has been the pattern so far. Whoever finds that first pick wins the round.
A lot of info there for Josh. And that should have made use of the Banshee that was on the window. Not sure if it was still there or not, but barbed wire has been taken out. And I love this from LFO. They are well and truly back.
Oh, the Banshee's still there.
It hasn't.
Yeah, but they did destroy that mute jammer, which is great. And the Banshee shortly follows. This Knights team composition that we're seeing with the Yana, Ashe, and Zafir, you just got so many explosives, especially the Yana will have the Gon 6 as a secondary, so a lot of options here for util.
Seeing the music quite well. It looks like LFO have completely given up that top floor. It's been 2 minutes, which means they're in a lot better stead than what they were in the previous round. However, now Knights can start to play construction team and go to town on the floor.
Now it's going to come down to Knights. LFO have completely conceded the top floor, roaming on the middle floor. This is all on Knights. They need to get this vertical play going. They need to start to shape up for an execute because the longer they wait, the more that this will favor LFO, especially as that opening pick still has not been found. LFO has some great positions. Nasty here can rotate into pillars. And look at that, time still ticking away. Nasty droned out, but still not punished as of yet. 18 seconds. Knights, what are you doing? You've got to make a move.
They certainly do, and now the timer, it's ticking away. Nicely done from Knights to find 4 quick kills. It's all on the Nasty. He's off site, but the plan's not going down just yet. If he can find the timing, it might have worked. Knights with an absolute snowball of a round in the last 20 seconds. And that is just rubbing salt in the wounds.
Very impressive final execute there. A bit messy. We didn't get to see all of it on our screens. A lot of it was different Knights players just dropping down and going for those fights. All at once, we'd only spectate one guy at a time. But man, I think that was, we saw, I believe it was Josh dropping down from the cocktail balcony. We saw other players dropping down into the laundry hatch, and man, they won a lot of their ones. And sometimes that is mechanical skill that is the driving factor behind that. Some of it is info. Knights had some good info even late into the round. They were still droning out. Always very risky to go for a late push like that, but really, really good execute at the end of it for Knights. So they have just really stepped up massively this game, Rob. I think a 7-1, 7-2 definitely on the cards here.
And it was something that we alluded to in the pre-game, and obviously, probably I would say more of the storyline for Knights, particularly in Playday 3, has been around what are they doing? You know, they haven't been able to convert a point yet, or rather a win yet, I should say, because if we come into the third and fourth Playday without the win on the board for them, we are starting to ask big questions. Standing up like this is exactly what we needed to see. And there was always the potential for them to flick and turn it on in OCN. And this is what we had hoped for. This is what we'd wished for. They must have heard us because they are answering well and truly. However, this is good for LFO. This is that kitchen defense that we saw work so well. Whether Knights feed into it or not this time is another question.
That's exactly it. This is LFO's best chance, but oh, that's a great angle being held by Hayward. He just misses it once again. I think LFO have made rotates either side of the fireplace itself, which is really pivotal here because it means they don't have to actually walk through the fireplace. Indeed, so you look at the corner spot. That spot is safe from the window, so nice part of the setup for LFO. I'm keenly awaiting this opening engagement because every single round so far, all 5, the opening pick has been converted into a round win. And that's the way that LFO started their kitchen defense so strong, was by finding those initial picks and whittling down the number count for Knights.
A little bit of a difference this time from Knights going top down rather in the round number 3 where LFO converted it. We saw Dino go VIP very early on. Hills! Nice haircut. Sage gets the buzz cut, and that's a huge opening pick for LFO here. They can continue to use that. But look how close Dino is. Does he know? Does he know how close Jigsaw is? The noise would definitely have given that away. A minute 15, it does not look like Knights have really made enough work on any kind of control. So LFO can do as they please.
Juicy also took a lot of damage to a C4. Hills in a decent position to flank. Who's that? Sogs and Sushi still upstairs as well. Nice, they're trying to clear them, and Juicy takes down Sushi, but they don't realize Sogs is still up here. They need to check for this. Hayward's about to give him a breach charge right in the face. And Sogs better run away. He's actually doubling down, flanking upstairs, but he was spotted on that drone. Surely there's a punish coming here. Hayward, it's all on him to make sure that this can be converted. But Jigsaw's found a pick elsewhere. Knights are definitely not achieving what they set out to do.
Now the big question for me, the hatch is open. Yes, that's what we needed to see. We love this from Knights. They've made the decision. They've gone for the call. Hayward doubles down on the Jigsaw. Sogs and Hills now left in a 2 versus 3. The diffuser's going down. This is starting to make it a little bit more doable. Oh, so close, but Hills with only a pixel off. Sogs comes in to clean up.
Oh
but
my
Dino
God.
with a massive finish to the half. That's 5 Knights, 1 to LFO. Our prayers have been answered. Knights have come alive here in Playday 3, much to LFO's disgust, Ev.
Certainly been a fiery start here and incredibly exciting for all you Knights fans out there who were watching both APAC South and OCN and saying, hey, there's a bit of a difference here. Oh no! Mate! Joshy boy, how do you let that happen? Well, Sage and Josh are also both going to be a pretty significant disadvantage in these fights, low HP, but Look, on the bright side, Manic, at least they didn't destroy that shield or any utility. But I guess that's something. But man, look, just forget about that for a second. I was trying to compliment Knights, and here they do and fluff something up. These guys are playing like they have been in APAC South, which is great because OCN so far has been a massive struggle. They've lost both of their games thus far, Elevate and Rufflecopter. Now they've at least got that 1 point off of their overtime game against Ruffle, but they certainly need the full 3 points here if they want to stay competitive in OCN as the favorites, mind you.
That is the big word surrounding Knights, and it's one that we will continue to ask questions for on the first 2 play days. Just wasn't good enough. Now they're definitely going to need to claw back the title for the greatest OS team and definitely favorites headed into this one. I figured it out though, Dev. I figured it out. Knights were just looking for a handicap to start with. Oh, make that a double handicap. Why not? Hills doing work here for LFO on this entry.
That is Hills' third opening kill, and there's another one racking it up on the scoreboard. Hills is definitely that determinant player you look to find early advantages for LFO. Mind you, in the last round of that defense half, it didn't make the difference for them. He found that opening pick. They still lost the round. But a 3v5 here is pretty tough position for Knights to be in. If LFO just play their cards right, they should be able to do a relatively normal take. Just go through piano, take control, have a player above Skylight, and then go for a kind of a boring but tried and tested and true push. And I think that is the best way to play this man advantage.
And look, especially against a team like Knights, you don't want to be giving them any chances to get back into this. So the sooner the better, and the safer the better, I would have to say, in agreement with the 5-head that I cast with. Now with Cigar control, LFO can look to lean into that a little bit more. That double wall reinforcing bathroom though.
And ADS burnt as well. Drone comes through. They're going to capitalize on this. There's a player in shop. That is Jigsaw. And he finds Hayward, furthering that man advantage even more so for LFO. 5v2, you really can't lose these, honestly. If LFO lose this, I'd be incredibly concerned. Everything is in their quarter right now. Nasty does get down, not out as of yet. Here comes another player. Fortunately, the refrag is successful, all on Josh. Against 3 players, not impossible, but certainly not easy. That flashbang certainly nails it in, and Hills has a massive round. LFO start strong and get their second round in the game.
Definitely a change of mindset, and Hills, like you said, big first round on the attacking side. That's 3 opening kills. I think we can throw that one away, in all honesty, for Knights, and I'm really intrigued. Do we head back to top floor? They don't even know what they want to do yet. It looked like it was going to be kitchen for a second, but they have decided to go to reading. And I mean, I'm not going to say generally we're seeing a lot of the kitchen and top floor in the first 2 rounds, but I'm going to say it's going to be a massive difference for LFO, but could change things up. I do love the Monty 6-pick. I mean, like, I wish we saw the Monty, honestly, but unfortunately not today.
The thing with 6-pick is there's no punishment for using it, right? You may as well just... Even if LFO have no intention and never had any intention of playing that Monty, just show it.
Yeah.
And make Knights think, like, if you're Knights right now, look at your lineup. You don't really have any direct Montaigne counters. You don't have your Smoke, your Legion, or anything that really is going to help you fight against that. Clash, even. And so maybe for a split second, LFO teasing that Monty just made Knights think, do we 6-pick off here? Hayward actually 6-picked off a Vigil, but then repicked it again anyway. So maybe that was the conversation. Maybe they were like, hey, Hayward, can you go Legion instead? And he thought about it and he's like, nah, I want Vigil.
No, thank you. No, thank you. I wish. I do really wish. I mean, like, thank goodness for the master stat tracker that I work with, because we get some pretty cool information tidbits. It's quite hard to come by if you're just writing things down. But Hills has been involved in am I saying this correctly? 6 out of 7 opening engagements
Yep.
here. So that, I mean, if I am LFO, I am absolutely wrapped with Hills. Always looking for that early round encounter. And so far, going 3 from 3. So not bad at all. Oh, sorry,
That's
3
it.
from 6.
Yeah, well, he's 3 out of 6, so he's 3
There you
and
go.
3. So net positive 0. But you can't deny that Hills has an impact early round. He's always that player on the forefront. And same can be said for Hayward, who's had his fair share as well. And look at this roam on the top floor. It is Hayward, very aggressive, takes a whole chunk of damage. He falls off, but Josh remains for now.
That would have been a pretty pivotal pick if Hayward goes down on the vigil so early on there. Can burn a lot of time in those later parts of the round. At the very least, cause some doubt in the minds of the attackers. Jigsaw now looking for point of contact, and Josh
Droned out.
just being droned out. Fortunate enough for them. I like this though. Drop and move.
So starting to clear out some of these bars as well, give himself a bit better lines of sight. For LFO, they've taken control of that top floor, but not the whole thing as of yet. As you can see, Jigsaw very wary of Cocktail. Some ex-Kairos pellets to flush out more of those Cocktail positions. Still 2 Knights players up here, Sage and Hayward. Hayward's super low HP, so he's got to be careful, and Josh finds the opener.
So without Jigsaw, we'll look to other players for LFO to lead the charge. And Hayward is just going to cause so much doubt here. Sushi
doesn't
has
know.
not checked it. They've got
Sushi!
absolutely no clue. It's going to be a 2K here from Hayward. He closely makes it at least a 1 apiece. But goodness me, that is a huge oversight from LFO.
That's the kind of thing that punishes you. Knights have regained control of this game, and this round is looking in their corner. Nasty and Hills make that just nasty as Hills falls down. The player upstairs, he's found one. It's going to have to be an ace in the next 20 seconds. But Rob, I just don't see any universe in which this happens.
Nope, it's not even possible. That C4 could have finished it off. It's not to be. But 3 players looking at 1 choke point with literally nothing else to do. That seems like LFO's game in a nutshell. And Knights, goodness me. That's the big one there, ladies and gents. Match point. I think this actually happened to LFO last season as well, now that my mind's being cast back. I'm pretty sure they were having decent results all season long. And then when it came to, when push came to shove in their one best of 1 against Knights, they were beaten 7-1. Yep.
That is absolutely correct. And if you look all the way back, it was also on Cafe as well. So,
learn your lesson.
Yeah, this is what I was saying in the ban phase, right, for LFO. Yeah, a bit scary. And hey, Knights have certainly turned it up. They are certainly having a great game so far. And, well, you know, I'm actually just out of curiosity, I'm going to bring up the CGG stats from that game last season between these 2 teams, and you have a look at it. Hills had a good game, but it still wasn't enough. And from Knights, you know, Hayward 1.7 rating, 100% KOST, 3-0 opening kills on the Ash Jaeger. Sage and Dino and Juicy all had incredibly strong performances as well. So it looks like time hasn't changed much.
Nope. Not even slightly. But that's what we wanted from Knights. This is what we've been asking for a week now, and thankfully they have shown. It's just getting worse. It's getting worse.
I love that he's, you know, Legion's lost the 1.5 times scope on his T5. So if you want that 1.5 scope on the T5 SMG, you've got to play Oryx. And I mean, you know, Oryx does have some validity on this map. A couple of hatches you can jump up, but I have a feeling Juicy's half playing over that SMG, half because he wanted a spawn peek.
Not even mad. Not even mad slightly. So the man down and 4 rounds down. This is an impossible task for LFO. Oh,
Nice shot.
Holy, see you later, Juicy.
At least that's even now for LFO and Knights. Still very aggressive positions held by the defense. So he's looking to drone up, small bakery into bakery. Doesn't get a lot of info before he loses that drone to Josh. Very egregious hold now from Knights. Nice roam with the castle, extending that mining and train position to help the site with some vertical pressure. It really does put the onus on LFO to try and clear this out or exploit a weakness elsewhere, but I don't really think there is much of a weakness here in this defense.
Well, not that we've been able to see. Hopefully LFO have spotted something a little bit different. Currently, only 3 drones remain here for LFO. So information is going to be extremely limited when push starts to come to shove, and Hayward finding Nasty. It is making matters even worse. Well, Dev, pack it up, put a ribbon on it. I think it's done.
Sogs and Sushi disconnected, unsure about this roam game. If it is cleared out, we might know that's mostly cleared, but they have no idea. Sushi a hair's breadth away from death on 2 fronts. He walks straight into Dino. Dino can't land the shots though. And Sushi just trying to hold the VIP angle. Sogs gets taken out by Sage on the other side. There's one for Sushi, but the refrag comes through. And Knights lock out an incredibly dominant game against LFO, 7-2.
As if it was ever in doubt, as if there was ever a question. It only took 9 rounds. 9 whole rounds. That is done and dusted. And that is what we've been waiting for from the Knights. 12 kills for Hayward, 10 for Dino. Only 1 for Sushi. Ooh, that hurts.
He died in all but 1 round that entire game as well. A massive match for the Knights. Their first win in Oceanic Nationals. They will rocket up the standings, at least for now. A 7-2 is, well, the flavor of the week, it seems, for Knights. Is what they managed to get against Q-Confirm as well in APAC South. And, well, here's one in OCN.
And I have no doubt that when Dino comes into the interview, he's not going to be happy with a 7-2. He's going to say that it should have been a 7-0 or a 7-1. And you know what? This time, I would actually agree with him. That was dominant from the Knights.
Yeah, no 2 ways about it. A fantastic game from the Knights. You know, they were near flawless on their attack. They only lost at 1 time, and that was when they just kind of fell apart, lost a lot of opening picks. And for their defense as well, I guess they were just a little bit caught off by some nice early shots from LFO. But overall, a fantastic game from the Knights and 2 almost flawless rounds as well. We just saw them consistently showing why they are the favorite team here in OCN. And the #1 team in the Oceanic region at the moment, at least as we would perceive.
Well, that's the thing, right? It's good to see them bring their APAC South form into OCN. It took them a week to warm up, but you'd have to say they're well and truly warmed up now. There's no question about it. There were rounds there for LFO, which, I mean, you're seeing a couple of them right now that could have come down to the wire, that were close, but just not enough. There's just not enough firepower for us to even remotely lean into an LFO victory there. And after LFO's first 2 playdays, this starts to sing out some warning signs. A 5-7 loss on both occasions on playday 1 and 2, and now backed up by a 7-2 belting from Knights. This is not the LFO that we'd hoped for at the end of playoffs last year.
Absolutely. LFO now the only team to reside on 0 at the end of it, and they have played the full 3 games. A lot of other teams that are yet to play tonight still have the chance to rack up more points, but LFO is uncontested as the bottom team in the league right now. That is a tough spot, not a very a great spot you want to be, fighting for that wooden spoon prize, but it is where LFO currently reside.
It certainly is. However, for Knights, it's looking a little bit better. Let's hear from a new face. I think this is the first time I've interviewed him. Juicy, welcome in.
Hey guys.
Congratulations on the victory. How are you feeling after that? It was a dominant performance. Very quickly, you know what? I've thrown a couple of questions at you. I'm going to isolate it to one. Dino said it should have been better than a 7-2 performance against Q Confirm on Thursday. I would have to say that it should have been a lot better here against LFO. You guys are looking unbelievable today.
Yeah, feeling good after, a bit shaky start in the first couple of games of OCN, but I don't know. South's going well for us, and I don't know, things are just clicking the more and more play days we get. So yeah,
just to
pretty happy.
dive off that, you guys have done so well in APAC South, but OCN hasn't quite been what you guys were hoping for. You lost to Elevate in the rematch, and then to Rafflecopter even. That was a surprise to us because we are favoring Knights as the #1 team in OS right now. So I'm keen to get your insight. Do you guys think you're the #1 in OS at the moment? And if so, what happened in those first 2 play days of OCN?
I think we are #1 in OS at the moment, just because previous matches and stuff. Rafflecopter was, the first couple of games in OCN was just a bit rough for us. We were trying to figure out the balance between South and OCN and how we deal with that week by week. But I think we're slowly starting to figure out how we deal with so many play days, and whether it might be lack of prep for a team, or we just have to fall on our skill as a team, and if we don't have the right prep. But yeah, I think it's just dealing with it week by week is what I'd say put it down to.
So this is, you're currently, sorry Dev, I'm just going to quickly ask before you get to ask your next question. That is, you're playing 3 games a week currently in officials. So is that how you're feeling? It just feels a bit overwhelming for you?
I think just getting used to it. It's the first time it's been this packed, I suppose, for us, just with everything going on, and it's not necessarily overwhelming. It's just getting used to it, and I think we're starting to get used to that now, and with obviously another play day tomorrow, and that's all it is for us. Just getting our heads around it and going from there. But yeah.
Yeah,
I think that's.
I think it's safe to say you guys. Sorry, I think it's safe to say you guys have gotten into the swing of things now. You look so hot tonight. But I wanted to ask. You mentioned the preparation that goes into games. You've recently brought on Sketchy as your analyst. How's he contributing to the team, and how do you guys work with your support staff?
It's been really good having Sketchy come on board with us. We've been, I suppose, Picky does so much for us at the moment, and I think just getting someone else in helps him out and lightens his load a little bit. But just work with the support staff. They come in, give us what they have for the next couple of games, and we go off that, reread it, and what to expect, what their tendencies are, and I don't know, have a good relationship with Sketchy in the short amount of time he's been with us. So it's only going to get better from here, and the more play days that go by, we're just going to get more and more information, and the way that he puts it on paper for us is fantastic. So couldn't ask any more of him, really.
Well, to be honest, that's the perfect way to wrap it up, Juicy. Thank you very much for coming in. We wish you the best of luck against the game against Order, I should say, tomorrow night.
Sweet, thank you guys.
Surely he said guys, not guys. I'm kidding. I'm taking the mickey there, surely. But that is what we were hoping for, James. We were hoping for Knights to show up, and it's taken 2 play days. We're now to play day 3. That's the performance we've been waiting for.
Certainly, it took some time to warm up, but yeah, they got there. And for Knights, it's great. It's really exciting for them because they had such a good game in APAC South against Q Confirm, and now they've done the same to LFO. And it does make you wonder, are they going to be able to keep this momentum? They've got Order tomorrow at the OCN again. And Order has consistently been a close competitor with the Knights. They kept beating each other last year when it came to those semi-finals in the August and the November mini-majors for OS. So I think that is going to be a big grudge match between those 2 teams. And look, I reckon Knights can take it with what they've shown today and what they showed in APAC South. I think they're ready for it.
They certainly are. Let's have a look at the match summary. And I don't think that there's any questions here. It looks like, Hills and Jigsaw were attempting to pull their own weight, but I honestly think that this is just Knights getting into the groove of things. And it is a great point that Juicy's brought up in his interview there about, how it's all come together and potentially why we weren't seeing the best results from them on Playday 1 and 2. And it's something that I don't think you and I have really spoken about a lot. But it is the fact that the 4 of these teams in OCN are playing 3 officials every week. Now, that's not going to be the way moving forward, but currently that is how it stands. And it definitely would change the way that you approach the game and you approach the preparation because it's so limited. You've only got so many hours in the day, but clearly they came in prepared for LFO, and this is much, much better and a good sign. I hate to look at LFO and ask questions here, though, but I think we have to. That's 3 defeats in a row.
Yeah, LFO at the moment have just got to prove that they're not the worst in OCN. I think that's the step 1, because I think most of the evidence is pointing towards that at the moment. But for Knights, hey, good stuff. It looks like they're finally warmed up to playing 3 days a week. Busy boys they are, but they get the job done at the end of the day, so that's what we like to see.
They certainly do. So that is our first match of the day done and dusted. Ladies and gents, don't go anywhere. On the other side of this break, we've got Roffelcopter and Elevate. See you in a bit.
Attackers recover the key. Attackers have dropped the bomb. Second class. Attackers have dropped the bomb.